All right, hello everyone. Today I want to talk about where we're at with our money and how we're providing services to our community, get into a lot of the tough issues that we're facing here every day at City Hall. I've been working for the last few weeks on this 5-point balanced budget plan. A lot of changes, a lot of adjustments to try to close a $5 million budget gap that we have this year. But I'm committed to getting to this balanced budget so we have a strong foundation underneath our community. This will be the first time in 6 or 7 years that we'll have a balanced budget in the city of Flint. So we just can't keep expecting the same kind of services when we have half the money that we used to. So we have to make these changes. The best balanced budget is going to come from shared sacrifice and from spreading the pain. These are very painful changes, but there has to be a way that we share in this sacrifice, and that's what I've been promoting since day one. We also need to protect public safety and our essential services as much as possible, but they're also big parts of our budget, and when we have to make changes across the board, there have to be changes in those departments too. It's been a last resort that we've come to some changes and layoffs in those departments, and I want to tell you what we've been doing and why we've had to come to that point. So we've got 5 things we're doing to get this budget balanced. We're adjusting services, rolling back employee compensation when possible, resizing our personnel levels. We're also looking at ways to generate some new revenues. I want to talk more about that. And also long-term, this fiscal stabilization bond. So let's start from the top. We talk about adjusting services. What are we doing? What still needs to be done? There's a number of different changes that we have been made. I've got some notes here today because we've got so much that we're working on. I did sign an executive order limiting overtime, and the city administrator is now approving all of the non-emergency overtime himself. We're starting to see some important savings from that. We also know we need to deal with this ongoing issue with our golf courses. Right now, all of our golf employees have been laid off. That happened at the end of October, and we're expecting to outsource the management of those golf courses as we go into the spring and the summer. It may be that we can still operate one, Swartz Creek. That's our best and most profitable course. I've spent a lot of time on them myself growing up here and playing a lot of golf in this community back when I had a little more time on my hands. I wish we could do more with them, but the time has come where we just have to move on. We can't keep subsidizing that service. So we've done what we can for now on the employee side. We'll get into the financials later into the winter and get that fixed. We're also reviewing the hours on our community and our senior centers. Those are some areas where we incur some overtime, and we need those programs to operate within their budgets. The City Council did approve some community development block grant funds being transferred to the centers, and that means that we can protect our general fund. Our general fund is where we pay for the majority of our police and fire and 911 services, so those grant dollars have a positive impact on our general fund, and it was good to see some cooperation there. All of these changes really are adding up to some savings, but the biggest savings area is in point number 2, this rolling back employee compensation. And unfortunately, after working on it for weeks and weeks, we still don't have any tentative agreements in place. You saw that our firefighters union had put together a proposal, and then their members voted it down. And what a disappointment to spend all those hours putting that together and then not get it approved. It just shows the attitudes that we're working with, and without cooperation we have to get into even more painful cuts. We'll have to now look at closing fire stations and adjusting the ranks and getting this waiver from FEMA to allow for some layoffs while we keep the SAFER grant that pays for 39 firefighters in place. With cooperation, this can happen so much better and more balanced and provide higher services to our community. But it just goes to show you, I can't do this by myself. We put the time into the proposal. We worked with the union leadership to get to something that we could all agree on, but then their members aren't quite there. Now we're going to keep working on it. We're going to do the same thing with our 3 police unions, our 2 other city worker unions. I remain optimistic that we can get a couple of these concession contracts in place, that somewhere in this city worker group we're going to find a couple leaders who are willing to do their part, like the rest of us are willing to do. You know, I was the first one to come out with the wage decrease, sent a resolution up to City Council to change my health care contribution level. I'll do whatever it takes, but I need to have our city workers cooperate in that. So what else do we do, and what happens if we don't get all those concessions that we want? This is where we have to change our personnel levels. If the rate for every cost of our employees stays high, you know, that's gone up 25, 30, in some cases 40% over the last 5 years, then we have to change how many people we have working for us here at the city. I started with our seasonal and temporary and casual laborers. We made more than 50 layoffs in that group first. Those are the first layoffs that were made. Those individuals, they've been providing a good service, but if we can't find them dedicated grant dollars, they can't draw down any funds from the general fund. We need that for public safety. Those approximately 50 workers were the first ones to get notices. Then we moved into other areas. My office, city clerk's office, city council office, finance department, human resources, everywhere where there were individuals who are not at this point performing what you'd call an essential service, they've been given layoff notices too. That's another 25 to 30 employees. So that's almost 80 employees that we've had to give a notice to before we even got to public safety. This is what I'm doing to try to keep that public safety impact as low as possible. But there's such a big part of the budget, and without some help, 20 layoff notices did have to go to our police officers. And we're looking at those savings in the fire department that we can achieve with while we work on the waiver for FEMA. So it was a last resort, but it had to be done. We've got to get this budget balanced. I understand how hard it is right now out in our communities. Many of you don't feel safe. You may not feel that the police are doing everything they can. This has a real impact on human lives. This isn't just money we're talking about, and it's not just statistics and percentages. These are real people who are being affected. And we've lost 60 lives to violent crime in the city this year. There have been 60 homicides. And if you come down here to City Hall, you'll see that there's a memorial. There's a small display. We have a bouquet with 60 flowers represent one for every life that we've lost, whatever the circumstances were. I mean, whoever was wrong, whoever made bad decisions or ended up in the wrong place at the wrong time, these are still lives that were lost. And we wanted to do something. I wanted to do something to show that we remember and we recognize that, especially in this difficult holiday season. So we're moving forward. I'm asking you to consider some new revenues. That's the fourth point in the budget plan. We've got 2 public safety millages that I want you to consider. We have a possible income tax proposal that we need to work through with City Council that will also require state law approval. And then even in the water and sewer departments, we haven't seen the revenues that we did years ago, and there's going to be a rate increase because of what we've seen from the cost of water that we've been buying from Detroit. So this is a place where you come in. Are you willing to do more so we can put officers on the street, open the city jail so our officers can put somebody away who's causing trouble in our community? This will be what we'll have to focus on these next couple weeks, because we want to see a stronger public safety system here, but it's going to cost some money. Partnerships go a long way. We're working with the state police, the U.S. Attorney's Office, the FBI, but at the end of the day, we need a strong Flint Fire Department, and that's what I'm focused on and what Chief Locke is focused on, but I'm going to need your help. And then we'll get to this fiscal stabilization bond. We'll deal with that too. That's part of the long-term solution. So I appreciate the chance to talk with you today. I hope that you have a happy holiday season despite everything that's going on, and know that we're working hard for you here every day at City Hall.
I would encourage him by telling him to stick to his goals, to stick to his dreams. Don't never let anyone